Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joanne Kandrak and Kelly Cole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole. This is our episode 57. This is Joanne Kandrak, and we are very excited to have a guest today who's Jason Phillips of the Phillips Collection. So in our last episode, which was number 56, we talked about the amazing designer experience event that we attended. It was put together by PMB Brands and Designers Today magazine. And we mentioned we were there with a lot of other designers that were invited from all across the country. And we went to Greensboro and High Point for a 3-day immersion of the Triad area. And there we visited some key manufacturers and toured the Sunbrella offices. It was really, really an amazing trip. But one of our favorite events, and which is why we've asked Jason to be a guest, was our visit to the Phillips Collection in High Point, North Carolina.
So before we welcome Jason and we start chatting, let us just give you a little bit of background about the Phillips Collection. And if you're a designer out there and you are not buying from the Phillips Collection and you have not created the relationship with Jason and his dad, Mark, then you really, really need to, because it's a go-to for us and it's a really unique company. So just a little background. It all started about 50 years ago when Larry and Sherry Phillips left their old lives behind to travel the world. And their entrepreneur son, Mark, who's Jason's dad, and his architect wife, Julie, joined them. And then they created this company. And Phillips Collection is dedicated to really discovering beautiful and unusual handcrafted home decor. So it is then sold for the exclusive design trade clientele. So today, Jason, who we're talking to, and Jessica, his sister, have become an integral part of the business. So they've really become a design leader in the furniture industry, and they've received tons of industry awards, including multiple Pinnacle and ADEX awards, and a 4-time recipient of the coveted Arts Award. Okay, so that's just amazing to me.
So I did not know what the Pinnacle and ADEX awards were. Okay. So I did a little bit of research, and this is what I found out. So the Pinnacle is the industry's highest honor. And so it's from the International Society of Furniture Designers, the ISFD, and their sole goal is devoted to advancing, improving, and supporting the practice of furniture design. Yeah. So they've won a couple of those. Then ADEX is the award for design excellence. So
that's totally awesome.
That's totally great.
So welcome, Jason. We're so psyched to have you on.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. And thanks for the great intro.
Yeah. So we absolutely loved your factory tour, and it was so incredible to see behind the scenes and to see the mass quantity of product all lined up so perfectly. And it was tables, and it was slabs, and it was geodes, and it was sculptures. And I mean, I just went totally bananas. So, but you guys, we were in High Point when we came to see you guys, but you guys also, your showrooms, just for our crowd listening, is in Atlanta, Dallas, High Point, Laguna, Las Vegas, LA, and New York. Correct?
Right, and now Irvine in Southern California as well.
Oh,
yeah, so there are lots of opportunities for people to engage with our brand in person or online. But yes, we do have showrooms around the country.
And let me just ask this for interior designers: because your warehouse and all that is right there in High Point, can designers come and tour your warehouse there?
Absolutely.
Or is that something
so we've got staff here, in-house specialists that know how to take a designer through and show them around and help select pieces. We like nothing more than to have people step foot inside this building. You've seen us at the shows, and that's one experience, but coming into the warehouse, seeing the breadth of wood tables and the geodes, to get people into this building is wonderful.
And can designers purchase right off the floor if they do visit the warehouse?
Yes, absolutely. A quick account setup, and if the items are ready to be loaded that day and they've got a truck, absolutely. Otherwise, we'll pack it up and ship it out.
It's great. There, you can look through a catalog or you can look at it online, but there's nothing like seeing it in person. You have such an appreciation for it.
Well, I'm currently working on this commercial job for a luxury apartment community that we're working on, and I've been going back and forth with Abigail in your customer service department. She's been so fantastic because what I'm on the hunt for is a 12-foot, we're calling it kind of a collaborative table or a gathering table that's live edge or at least just a very authentic piece of wood that has a lot of interest to it. And she literally is like stepping into the factory and taking pictures of the actual tables for me so that I can kind of see the grain and the finish. And for this particular table, the leasing consultants are going to be sitting there. So I'm going to have you guys drill some grommet holes. So I had to pick a slab where the kind of the crevices and all the natural, what do you call them, like holes in the wood,
we like to say character marks, but yes,
okay,
these are
character markings.
Yes, character markings are in the right place before we drill the grommet. So it has just been such a personal experience to pick this table for this client, and we presented to them yesterday. And they're so in love. We did the gray stone. We chose the gray stone finish, so it's not your typical kind of
orangey reddish
live edge table. Yeah. It's just completely cool, and I think that's really a special point to make to designers who are listening, because this is the way that we create designs that cannot be copied or cannot be purchased on, online on these. Yeah. Online companies that are giving us such trouble.
So if you're not a designer and you're a consumer out there listening, and you can either buy it through a designer, but do you work with a lot of furniture stores, Jason? Like, how can a consumer have access to your items?
Yeah, we've got better retailers around the country. So if you're in the Midwest, people like Walter E. Smith. If you're here in the Carolinas, we've got Goods Furniture and Furnitureland South, Robin Stuckey down in Florida. People can contact our office and we can point them to a dealer. And that's what happens on social media. We're reaching the consumer. Everything has to get funneled back through our network of resellers. And, resellers the worst word I could possibly use for interior design practice. But, people will have to go through a store or a designer to purchase.
Well, that's another thing. You're not going to see these products on Amazon. You're not going to see them on Etsy. This is something that is, completely unique. And we're hoping that if you're listening that you'll go to, and we'll share all of their social channels so you can really see what this is all about. But let's get back to, how did you get involved in this family business? How old were you when you started, or is it something you always wanted to do?
From the age of 5, I was taking trips to Southeast Asia when Mom and Dad were on the hunt for artisan handicrafts, and it was a small company for a very long time, trying to find our place in the market, but I always remember growing up seeing the passion my parents had and how nice it was that they worked together and traveled together. And my sister and I felt very fortunate to take these trips. So the more serious when did I join the family business was straight out of college. So grew up in New York. That's where the company started. Went to college. Company relocated to North Carolina as we were growing. It just didn't make sense to warehouse in New York. So we were showing in High Point for decades, and it just made sense to be down here and close to the market. So yeah, right out of college, got involved, and in the back of my head, I always knew it was a place I could work. As graduation was nearing, as an adolescent, I was like, what better opportunity to travel? And it would have taken me 10 years in a career to get to where I would have been starting. And it's not about starting at the top or with a silver spoon. Again, we were a small company. It was more about having your voice heard, almost joining a small team. And the company's grown leaps and bounds since.
Oh,
but
it's huge.
At that time, it was let's grind, let's find our place in the market.
So did you feel like when you graduated from college and you joined the company, more seriously, did you always feel like your parents really gave you a voice and that you had a place in the company where you could make a difference?
Absolutely. So the trade-off for me was I had that voice, which I think is most important and most gratifying for somebody working, is to feel like your opinions matter and there are forums for discussion and improvement. That's one side. The other side is the constant, let's call it nurturing from mom and dad, which I look back on now and I can laugh about it. But at the time, it's constant interpersonal dynamics, but being very aware not to show that to the staff and the company. We're very professional, but fun, and there's a loving atmosphere here. But so the upside was I had a voice, and the downside was, working with your parents and all the lovely things that come with that. The tweaking,
Awesome. When you talk about these trips, there are a couple videos out there on YouTube, and there's one especially that show you and your dad walking through these forests. Just kind of give us a little background on that and the whole tree roots and that whole thing that you kind of explained to us when we were there at the warehouse for our visit.
So we get to go to some wonderful places that we just decide, let's hop on a plane and see what we can create out there. So Live Edge is something that's not just a trend. It exists in the marketplace for 100 years, and it's not going anywhere. So we started falling in love with these really imperfect pieces, and we know that we can put things in our collection that others can't, things that are a little riskier, things that are very large scale and handling one-of-a-kind pieces of nature. So in the north of Thailand, this is my absolute favorite place to visit. We have wonderful artisan partners that we start by buying 3 dining tables and 6 consoles from, and then it grows into thousands of pieces a year, where an entire economy has been created around this small artisan community. So I love shooting that video last year with a film crew that we brought out from Denver, these 2 young guys from Look Well Media. They did a wonderful job, and they kind of trailed behind me and Dad as we did our thing. There's a lot of design on the ground. There's a lot of wanting to document the magic that happens, and you saw footage of the fire truck we had to purchase to blast out the rocks from these roots that were preventing us from cutting them on location. So for those that haven't got a picture painted in their head of what we're doing, we're going through the jungles of northern Thailand with a crew and chainsaws and a small flatbed truck and now a fire truck, finding felled trees, these old growth trees that are just a stump in the ground, and unearthing them and figuring out how to cut them on location, almost like a diamond in the rough, to be able to pick them up and load them onto a truck to get them to the factory to be prepped, and then the long journey to the U.S. where we do final deluxing and get it out to customers like you. These are pieces that's a big point.
That's a good point, Jason, that you just made, that they are failed trees.
Yes.
So
yes.
They're
so
not.
No
you're
trees
not.
are being cut down
deforesting.
for us. Right. We're working in tandem with the governments to have responsibly sourced pieces that are trees that have to come down. That's about half the production, and the other half is finding riverbeds submerged and just long ago felled trees, or maybe trees that got struck by lightning. Pieces that are so unusual they can't be used by anyone else, and we seek those out. We seek out the ones that have a giant gash through the middle, or one half of it is charred from lightning, and try to turn that into a piece of art, functional art.
And that's that becomes the story, which is, I guess, your tagline, every piece of conversation.
Well, and it, like you said, it's functional art. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. It's so amazing. I just can't even imagine that experience of walking through northern Thailand in a jungle and having an eye, knowing what you're looking for these unique pieces that you will then harvest and sell, and being like, oh, there's a tray. That's a good one. Can you imagine having that skill?
And we're a really
and just
good
the
team.
logistics.
Yeah, Dad doesn't consider himself an artist, but he's got the best eye. So he can see something. I kind of have to interpret what he's found. I do the marketing and the sales at the company, so it's prepping that unusual resource, turning it into a marketable item. But he seems to see the whole process start to finish. And, as we start thinking about how the company is going to evolve, knowing that he has this secret sauce of a curator's eye is what I'm paying most attention to as, the person that's going to be stepping into his role eventually. So I've got my entire package of what I do, and I'm having to shadow him and what he does for that eventual transition.
Yeah.
I could really see the passion,
for sure.
With everybody down to the workers there. Like, everybody's really, really proud of the stuff, and it just makes it so much more special.
Yeah. So it gets on the flatbed truck, and then does it get on a big plane? I mean, how does it get to, does it come straight to High Point? I mean, then what?
It has to all get organized actually in Bangkok. So Chiang Mai is northern Thailand. It gets crated at the factory. We fill up in a 40-foot container, and this gets brought down to Bangkok, where it leaves from the port there, and it comes all the way to usually Norfolk or Savannah. It takes a 12,000-mile journey. Did you happen to see our cat, Miracle, in the office? Who took one of these journeys? Okay, so I digress, but on one of these containers, there was a kitten that managed to get into the back of the truck.
Stop it right now.
She was nearly dead. We thought there was a dead kitten in the back, and she was breathing. So this is a 40-day journey. I know we're supposed to be talking about furniture, but
I want to talk about this cat, and now I'm really mad I missed her at the factory. I would have loved on her like crazy. Okay, wait. Yeah, we have to talk about this story. So she made that journey, and she lived?
Yeah. This is no air, space, water. I'm probably missing an ingredient there. Food. So we don't know how she lived. She's
for 40 days?
She's an interesting little cat. Let's just say that. We've got two other office cats who are completely normal, and here's Miracle, who she woke up. She went to sleep in Thailand, woke up in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Oh my God! That is so amazing.
That is crazy.
Something, you guys are so fun, and something that, as I sit here and, reflecting on our business, I want to say, and there's a personality to your business. I think that's what attracts clients to you. I think we have that same personality, which you touched on with even the guys in the warehouse. Dad and I are fist bumping everyone every day. We love coming into work. Life's too short to not enjoy it. But we know we're fortunate. Not everyone can hop on a plane and create a business like this. So we're just trying to share great design. We get our margin, but I hope you'd find that the prices are very fair to you, and in turn they have to, be resold to a consumer. So this is extremely high-end look for pricing that's accessible and a company that's fun to partner with. So, I see us doing big things for years to come.
Yeah,
as designers, one of the things Kelly and I always are like, I'm tired of using these same. We want something different. We want to bring something unique to people, and this is one of those things. And a lot of a lot of your work is in commercial spaces because it's so unique. It's a lot of it's oversized, and so it really is a wow factor in a room. And so one little tidbit that I found out is that there are a lot of your products on movies and TV. And restaurants, bars, nightclubs, but the Hunger Games, those seatbelt chairs, which I think are so neat. When our listeners are out there going to their website or looking at their things, you need to look at these seatbelt chairs and tell us, how did that come to be?
These are just flukes, very happy surprises that come out of nowhere. So we have a customer in Charlotte who does set design. So she acquires pieces from various companies and has a warehouse. And when she gets contracted to do a movie, her name's actually Margaret Hungerford, working on the Hunger Games, which I thought was funny.
Oh, that's funny.
Lo and behold, one of our designer customers, her son was reading one of these companion guides that came out before the movie, and he noticed the chairs that his mom spec'd on various projects. So the shocking green seatbelt chair from a Thai designer, Nudapung, has become famous because of that movie. So we even have little miniature chairs that we like to give out. I hope we got you one of those.
We have them.
They're here in our office. They're so fun. And I will say, this is the thing I love about you guys is that Yes, you're correct. That your price point is very manageable. For example, back to this commercial job that I'm working on, the demographic for this luxury apartment community is kind of the millennial crowd, and so we have a very kind of industrial, organic, sustainable kind of vibe going on. But it's a really big space, and everything that we chose had to be a wow. And so I'm using, for example, the vine flowers that are 30 inches round, and they cost, like $100 something bucks. And I'm doing 5 of them in the restroom. Or we're doing, of course, they got the big, huge gathering table. But I mixed it with another manufacturer that we use, Natural Curiosities, who has some really big, crazy art. But I couldn't do all art, so I needed that organic, those vines and those tables to mix.
Sometimes you need something other than like wall art, like a painting. And there's so many great wall sculptures and things like that you all have that is great to mix in with, beautiful original art or whatever. You just need sometimes something that's sculptural or textural on the wall.
Or dimensional. And, we had this presentation I was talking to you guys about, and I went to your gallery on your website that has hundreds of photos of your wall decor displayed, and it was the perfect visual that I needed to describe to the client what I was doing, because you guys are selling those cool metal buttons, and you're selling all these rock and vine pieces, but they're best in a gallery. They're best in quantity. They're best in numbers from 6 to 12. And so to see them displayed, and I could get that right off the website and show it to them. So it was such an easy sell. So for that, you guys were a godsend for me on this project we just finished. I needed all those big, huge wow factors that weren't going to break the bank. And it was awesome.
Well, good. Yeah, I mean, we are the company that you go to for the dimensional wall art. There are wonderful resources out there for framed art, companies like Left Bank and Wendover, who I love. And what's really nice is there's a camaraderie amongst the manufacturers that live in this space where we don't want to step on each other's toes. And it's a day and age. You hit on something earlier where people don't want to reuse things from project to project, which is why our non-cookie cutter designs like the Live Edge are so applicable. But as a resource, we realize we have to constantly be innovating. It's not introducing product once or twice a year or what became 4 to 6 times a year. It's introducing it as it arrives to the warehouse. Always something fresh. We as consumers, you have a brand you're loyal to, and when you check them out, you want to see what's new and exciting. So that's at the forefront, and it's a moving target, how things are progressing in our industry.
So we don't have a ton more time, but I wanted to ask you really quickly, what do you see for the future when you look at Phillips company or collection, and you kind of are out there and you're brainstorming with your dad? Kind of what's in the future for you guys?
I think the next step, the next giant leap forward is going to be lifestyle collections. So we have very limited seating and lighting, and we're very conscious about needing to bring that in. I still don't picture, I can't picture what the Phillips sectional is, but when we come up with it, I think it's going to be brilliant because then we can sell or tell the whole room story. That will get us to a whole nother plateau, but we're really excited in the arena we're playing in, so we don't want to lose our DNA. I think the future holds even more exciting and daring uses of material like 900-pound tables made out of solid chunks of amethyst that I think you saw when you were here. That's brand new for us.
Yes.
So I don't even know what we're going to come out with in 5 years.
As a designer, I think if you wanted our opinion from me, I would be really interested in lighting. I think the upholstery, I don't know. There's so many choices, and it's so far out there, and I don't know, what are you going to do I'm sure you guys would do something totally crazy and different, but I would think, like, if I was going to ask you guys to do anything, it would be, I think, lighting. Do you agree, Joanne?
Yeah, for something really unique.
That's great. Well, great advice, and a good point about the upholstery, too. So I'll keep all that in mind.
Well, when we were at the Designer Experience a couple weeks ago, we did a highlight reel on our Instagram. And I think we took the most pictures in the factory there. So if you want to go to our Instagram, which is Kendra Cole, you can go onto our highlight reel from the designer experience, and you'll be able to see. We took some nice close-ups of some of the beautiful natural stones and the. What was one of my favorite things?
There were all those bowls.
Oh yes, the onyx. The onyx was really amazing. Yeah. So, like, what is your favorite piece in the whole collection?
That's a loaded
I saw
question.
that question. Yeah, the seatbelt chair is great. It's one of our iron frame consoles. So here we're taking really the last slice of the wooden stump that can't become a coffee table or a freestanding console, and we're putting it in this industrial matte black metal frame, and it just becomes contemporary and repeatable, and I just love those.
I'll have to take a look.
That's
I'll have
awesome.
to take a look at that
Especially
one.
when you can take something so organic and it's wood, whatever, but put that major contemporary twist on it so that it can be applicable in so many designs is something that you guys do really well.
Yeah.
In
this world of massive production, it's so nice to see someone who really is taking the risks and who's going and taking the time and energy to bring things that are so different
with a sustainable approach. Which is, I think, the most important, the important thing. So you guys do an amazing job on social media. So for everybody listening, if you go to Phillips Co. for Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, the Phillips Collection on Facebook, you'll find them. But really, and this will all be in our show notes, but really go and look at the YouTube videos because they're mind-boggling, I think.
Yeah, they're really, really amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, so
yeah, so it was so great to meet you, and you're just such a nice, approachable guy, and so is your dad, and we just really enjoyed, diving in with you guys, and we want to thank you.
Yes.
Well, likewise. Thank you for having me on and for the obvious interest in what we do.
Awesome. Well, we've got just a minute left here, so hang on with us, Jason, so you can hear our funny quote and our
we have
and
to
our
end
inspirational
on a funny
quote.
note. All right, I did the funny one last week, so you do it.
Okay. So this one is the server. How was your food? Did everything come out Instagrammable? What it is these days.
That is so
what it
true.
Is these days.
I was at a sushi restaurant with my kids, and the guy was like, but my kids had already gone onto Yelp and looked at Instagram and looked at all the pictures before they decided what they were having. It's kind of funny. All right.
Well, since we're talking about travel.
Here's our serious quote for this. Not really serious because we're not serious. But anyway, when something good happens, travel to celebrate. If something bad happens, travel to forget it. If nothing is happening, travel to make something happen. And if you can, go to northern Thailand and walk through the jungle and see if you see what Mark and Jason see.
I'd like to do that.
We're going to travel to make something happen. That's right.
Yes.
So, well,
Come
thank
join
you,
us
Jason.
anytime.
Oh my
You're
gosh!
welcome.
Don't say that because we will be on a plane like on your next visit. The two of us. Don't you doubt that for a second.
We're the girls that say yes to everything.
It'd be very smart product development for us to have customers joining us to see what we should do.
Okay,
so really, the invite is open.
Oh my God. Joanne, we're calling him when we hang up. Okay.
All right, Jason, stay tuned.
Yeah. Your phone will be ringing in about 3 minutes. All right. Well, have a great week, everybody. Thank you, Jason. And thanks for listening. We're heading off to the July 4th holiday. You'll probably hear this after that, but hope everybody's having a happy summer.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
Join Joanne and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram at Kandrak-Cole, and of course, you've got to visit them online at kandrak-cole.com for more information.